welcome to the session. So basically, I'm terming this as prelims roadmap, right? And we'll have a few of these sessions, right? So these are going to be the group sessions that we're going to talk about. First of all, let me ask you a question. And this is, I know the answer right now because we are looking at it from 3 months away, right? When I ask you how confident are you about prelims, what's your answer? Okay, there could be 3 options. Okay, one is, okay, not very confident. Okay, which is fine because there is 3 months away, right? So that's like 90 days, 80 something days. So that is a lot of time, right? There's plenty of things that you could probably achieve by then. The other kind of thought you'll probably have is that no, I'm very confident, right? I'm doing well. I started early, and looks like I'm actually coasting through. That is second option. You have to be careful to ensure that you're not overconfident. Third option is going to be that I'm not there yet, but I feel like I am on the right track, right? Whatever I'm doing, I feel like I'm getting there. Okay, so these are the 3 options that you could possibly have. Many of you, you probably feel like you're not there yet. Okay, and I don't know if I'm going to get there. So, so this session is going to be a lot of macro perspective about how to sort of go about doing your prelims. Okay, so I will do that. And thank you to all of you who had basically asked me a lot of questions regarding what to address in this session. See, prelims is actually a mindset. Okay, and I'll tell you why I'm saying that, and we'll get started. First of all, if I ask you what is prelims, that is the right message. Okay, so Shreyas basically says it is basically nothing but an elimination test. Okay, just remember this thing. It is just about elimination. And many of you know me really well, and the ones who do know, this is neat handwriting from my end. Okay, so if you cannot understand anything, okay, my handwriting is not going to be great. In case you do not understand something, please feel free to ask me to probably just say it again or write it again. Okay, I won't feel bad. Okay, so that is that. See, this is basically a test of elimination. Okay, this is an elimination test. That is it. There is nothing more to it. Okay, there is absolutely nothing more to it. Why do we need an elimination test? See, we need an elimination test for a particular reason. And by the way, why do we need an elimination test? See, when we are basically having something of a mains test in which you have your GS1, GS2, GS3, GS4, essay, optional 1, optional 2, Hindi and either English, English and either Hindi or any of the local languages, vernacular tongue, right? Any of those languages, if you have, we cannot, or UPSC cannot manage to have centers for lakhs of people, right? So they need to get a reasonable number of people who can write the mains, and from there they're going to select for interview. And that's the same thing, right? What if, can they call all 4 lakh, 5 lakh people who are going to apply for this exam? I think 10 lakh people apply. 4.5, 5 lakhs basically sort of show up to take that test. Can we have an interview for all? No, we don't have that facility, right? That's not going to be practically feasible, right? So hence we need an elimination test, and that is all you have to think about for prelims. So prelims, when you're going in there, you're not going to achieve anything. All you're going to do is ensure that you're not getting eliminated. That's it. Okay, you want to ensure that you're going for your mains. Okay, and mains is where most of the game is played. Now, if you say that is your prelims, right? So take a look at what is it that UPSC tells you that it wants. Okay, and I'm sure that many of you have actually not gone through the syllabus. Have you gone through the syllabus? When we did, let's say optional, when we do GS1, GS2, GS3, GS4, when we're doing this specific main subjects, you will go through line by line what is expected here, because once you give this particular line, you are supposed to have a sort of basic understanding and understanding of contemporary issues in and around those lines, in and around those topics. But we generally don't do this for GS. GS in our mind is basically about just some books, right? Some notes and things of that nature. See, take a look at this. See, first thing is current events of national and international importance. Okay, it is not even called as current affairs. It is about current events of national and international importance. What is national and international importance? So, for instance, today, if you think about this, right? Russia-Ukraine is some ongoing issue. National issues. What are the national issues? There are n number of issues that are going there. So, how are these things sort of important, and how this could be relevant to a person who is wanting to get selected either as a foreign service officer, diplomat, Indian administrative officer, right, at that level. Similarly, when you look at this, it is not given as ancient and medieval and modern India. What is it given as? History of India and Indian national movement. Look at this. In geography, you have world geography, physical geography. What is physical geography? Physical geography, okay. And for those of you who have already done your NCRTs, you will know that there are 2 books that we are going to do for physical anthropology, physical geography. And what are they? One is going to be your Indian physical environment of your class 11, and I believe the other one is physical geography. I think that's all. That's what it is called. It's got all the NCERT concepts, okay, about the physical aspects of geography, right? Social geography, economic geography. So economic geography, if I say economic geography, what can you tell me, right? Social geography, okay, what exactly is it, right? So you have NCRTs for this, 11th and these are basically your 12th NCRTs. Similarly, look at your polity and governance, constitution, the political systems, the Panchayati Raj, okay, the public policy and the rights issues, right? All of these things kind of generic, but it gives you a picture. It doesn't tell you that your topic is, chapter 1, salient features of the constitution, chapter 2, so and so, and things of that nature. When you say constitution, it is understood that you will follow aspects of the constitution that are kind of like static, and also the current importance of many of those, right? How do we sort of apply those, right? What does it mean to follow constitutional values? There are many of those aspects. So if you are kind of thorough with this, even questions that are, and this is the reason I'm mentioning this is because I got some questions regarding this, even questions regarding the philosophy, the broader sort of take about the constitution, you will be able to answer if you have, that sort of an understanding. Economic and social development. See, when I constantly say this thing, okay, in our course, it is in UPSC generally, you do not want to think of it as economics. It is not macroeconomics, it is not microeconomics, but more so it is about economy. Okay, economy. And when we talk about economy also, it is generally socio-economic importance. Okay, not only the economic, but also social importance, right? This will be very different if anybody has done an MBA or, you have a master's in economics, you'll probably understand what I'm saying. Economics and all the graphs that we have studied, it's very, very different from the kind of economics that we need to know here. Okay, these are practical economics. These are basically practical economics. And then finally, you have your environment and basically general science. General science means it's not science that is required for you to, either clear your what is that, your entrance exam during your 11th and 12th, or to become a doctor, to become an engineer. That is not the kind of thing, but it is basically general science. Are you aware of the scientific and sort of technological advancements that are happening, right? So these are it. Okay, and apart from this, of course, your CSAT, and CSAT is something that all of you should actually focus on. I have a lot of students even from previous year who, in recent years, I'm starting to notice a lot of students actually having a little bit of a trouble with CSAT. Okay, so it's not as usual, scoring 130 and 140 and 150 and knowing for sure that they're going to get through. Many of them are stuck in 80s and 90s, and the keys that we're getting today is also not very straightforward, right? It is not as straightforward, meaning there is a lot of sort of discrepancy between the key of one institute versus the key of another institute. So you don't know whether you're getting a 75 or you're getting a 95, and that discrepancy is a lot. Okay, and that just says a lot. Excuse me. Okay, then me too. Okay, yeah. So and when we think about the syllabus, it's basically what? Okay, I've given most of you, and I'm not sure if all of you have taken the 8, right? You have not. Okay, but I know for sure I can see these names here, the ones who have already taken the first 8 tests that we have given, right? So think about this polity. Okay, polity. So when I say polity, what comes to you? See, anything that is. So how much do you want to know? So again, I'll just tell you this once again. Okay, so for prelims specifically, if you think about this, our syllabus is essentially your NCRTs. A generally aware person. Think about this. Are you a generally aware person? You have to remember this. Okay, just remember this. They are not asking for specialists here. Okay, so most of them are just NCRTs, and when I say NCRTs, they're basically school level. And what do I mean by this? If you have your parents, okay, and let's say your parent is a teacher, an engineer, or somebody like that, like my father is an engineer, and he is kind of well-read, reasonably well-read even today. Okay, he can solve 35 to 40 questions year after year in UPSC. Okay, without having gone and studied his histories and the polities and the geographies. Okay, because he's just a well-read person. Okay, so generally aware person. These and many of these so-called uncles, like of parents of my generation, parents of like our parental generation, or my aunt who's a teacher, they read a lot, right? They've been reading the newspaper. They know a lot of these things. For them also, many questions are, will they be able to clear the cutoff? I don't think so, unless they study, some of these basics. But they have many questions in this question paper that they can solve, right? So the idea is to become a generally aware person. What is the foundation that you need? You need the foundation school level. Okay, NCRTs, except for, let's say, polity. In polity, you can go, okay, apart from your Your NCRTs, you can actually move all the way till your Lakshmikant, which is one standard book. I started with DD Basu, but Lakshmikant is a great book. DD Basu is more about philosophy and a little more technical. I wouldn't say technical. It is a little, it's a little more, it's a little harder book to sort of crack. Okay, and but I feel good because I started with that particular book. But Lakshmikant's also a great book. Okay, and I think that is a Bible today. Okay, and similarly, history. In history, for ancient and medieval, basically, what do you want to do? You want to stick with your NCRTs. Okay, school level. Okay, but when we talk about modern, you can actually go a little deeper. Most of you are following either Bipin Chandra or Spectrum. Okay, Bipin Chandra or Spectrum. Okay. Even NCRTs give a good philosophy of polity. Exactly. See, in our school books are not necessarily, sort of filled with too many facts. These are not fact-loaded books. Okay, these are not fact-loaded books. This is more about, understanding of concepts, and it contains a lot more of the philosophy of the book. So that's a very good question. Even NCRTs do give a very good philosophy about the polity. See, I don't know if you remember this. Like when we were in school, we used to have these debate competition between like multiple schools, and most of them, used to be about. I remember this once. Should the voting age be reduced to 16? Okay, and I think I was in the 8th grade or something like that, and we had this kind of thing. Actually, a lot of those used to be a lot of fun because we had read this book called the civics book. That's how we used to call it. Okay, it used to be civics. I'm not sure exactly what it is today. Okay, it used to be civics books. In the civics book, it gives you a lot more of the philosophy of the book, that you can go and say, okay, 16, okay, is the right age, 18 is the right age, why 18 is not the right age, why 21 is the right age, things of that nature. Okay, did we go about in debate saying that article so and so and a universal franchise came out? None of those, right? Right, with the knowledge of our basic NCRTs, we can do great. Geography, again, we stick with our NCRTs. I hope that is clear. Okay, so philosophy you can get from your NCRTs, a lot of your philosophy. Okay, NCRTs. There is another book which I used to read, but I don't think I've ever been able to use anything from it. Gochi Leong. Okay, and I've not been able to find a way to use that. Okay, so NCRT is more than enough. How many NCRTs? See, basically 4 NCRTs. What are they? 2 in class 11 and 2 in your class 12. Environment. Okay, environment is another one. Basically, you might want to go a little further. Okay, and in case you have your own sort of coaching notes, or I did not go for any of these coaching, so I used to use standard books. I did Shankar, but I'm given to understand that there are some material that is even better than that. Okay, but I followed Shankar, and I had my sister's environmental engineering books, and that I found environment topic to be given in a very, very sort of conceptually, it was like very, very good. So like a couple of books like that. Okay, so those kind of books I actually followed, but then Shankar was to ensure that, okay, I'm covering all the topics in mind. Okay, and the next one is basically the economics. Okay, economics. So when I say economy, basically just focus on your macroeconomics, or it's not your. Understand the basic concept when it comes to macroeconomics and follow India's economy. Follow the budget. Just 1 second. Okay, and so that is your macroeconomics. So following of India's economy. And when I say India's economy, I wanted to focus a little more on agriculture. Okay, agriculture. Many of these questions are now going to be covered in your current affair booklets. Okay, but many of them are constantly in the news. And when I say that, it is constantly in the news, right? So in my home, I used to have the business line. So in business line, it's basically about economics, right? So if it's an economic daily, there's a good chunk of, agricultural news as well. So from there, I used to get whatever I read. I look at the options. The options look familiar to me. Even if I don't know what exactly it is, I feel like these are things that I've been reading for a while. Okay, so agriculture. So following India's economy, following the budget. In fact, if you're on Twitter or something like that, you can follow the finance minister and the goings on, the finance secretary. Okay, RBI. These sort of aspects. Okay, so agriculture. Okay, primarily agriculture, and then you can do your manufacturing. Okay, services. So you understand that is the one that deals contributes most of the GDP, but focus more so here. Okay, and contemporary issues. And I call this contemporary issues because I don't call them current affairs. This is not a subject for you to sort of master, right? Contemporary issues, again, this again goes back into trying to make you, okay, a generally aware person. Now you are, trust me on this, okay, because you are in this UPSC stream, right? You've been preparing for UPSC. You are a generally aware person to a certain extent, but you can be more aware. That is it. Okay. So what do you have to do? You just have to focus on what are the contemporary issues, what is happening around me. Okay. And that I think is a lot more useful. And with that kind of philosophy, you will be able to crack many of these questions. Okay. Expecting that I will only study what are the questions that come in the monthly compilations of current affairs, I don't think is an ideal sort of a strategy. Should you skip it? No, I wouldn't say you skip it. But at the same time, I would say that become generally aware, because I see a lot of questions, and I don't know if off the top of my head, if I have any such examples. But I always feel like every single year there will be some questions which people sort of classify after, after these exams, these blogs or on these websites or channels. They'll basically say that this is a tough question. I've never seen this kind of a topic before. But those are kind of questions that I did not find them very difficult. For instance, there was a question I remember. Good, I have an example that Kuno, they're planning to shift the tigers. Okay, no, the lions from one particular place to another particular place, right? And I was kind of interested, for a person who has been following to a certain extent. I don't know so much about the big cats, okay, but I thought that this is something that most people would know. Okay, Gir lions, and they wanted to move them. Now it is very, very evident. Okay, but back in the day, not many people actually knew about this, right? Similarly, a lot about the cheetahs. Okay, cheetahs went the Asian cheetahs, right? So India had a lot of cheetahs. In fact, like on YouTube, you can actually watch these older videos of some of our royal families actually having almost like pet cheetahs. Okay, and we hunted them to exhaustion, right? We hunted them down to a point where, hunted them to extinction, right? We don't have them anymore. Okay, and hence we've been asking other countries, what if we can bring them back? Okay, there is a whole history there as well. Now that is kind of interesting as well. Right? Similarly, there are many such things that I feel it is now going to be covered by your current affair, and you cannot blame the compilation. The compilations cannot go through and do every single thing that you read in the newspaper. But for a person who is generally aware, there are many questions in which, at least if you can't solve the question, at least you can eliminate one or two options, and that also makes your sort of topics, that also sort of makes your the chances of you getting that question right a lot higher. Okay, a lot higher. So I will generally call it contemporary issues. Just be interested to become to understand what is happening around us, to become a generally more aware person. Lots of concepts are there apart from those in Shankar Ganesh. Especially banking concepts. Okay, so these are kind of specific questions, Prabha, and I will also try to address these. In fact, many of these, 2 out of 3 questions that you had sent me, I'll address it today. Some others require a little more of a detailed sort of explanation for it, which I don't think I'll be able to do today, but we'll do it in person. But here I'll tell you. So there are questions, especially banking concepts. In fact, I remember, I don't remember all the questions, but I remember there was one question on urban cooperative banking last year, urban cooperative banks. In fact, I remember urban cooperative banks were in the news, in the newspaper for a month straight, right? They were in the news for a month straight. Okay, because of again, they'll not go into that issue, but it was there in the newspaper for a whole month. In fact, I'm sure that the monthly compilations also had covered it to the same extent, but for a person who's at least been reading those on a daily basis, okay, apart from what you have read in your standard book, okay, and again sort of added to the contemporary whatever is happening in the newspaper, you will be able to crack those questions. Okay, and if you don't, sometimes the questions are going to be a little difficult on that side, but I still feel some of those questions are something that you can solve, right? And I'll come to those. Okay, I'll come to those. Okay, this is not about a specific question ko kaise solve karna hai kind of a session. Those we will have more so, but this is more of a macro perspective